Welcome back to Super Saturday, double header Saturday. Unfortunately, pretty one sided games both. We are going to cover RCB versus Sunrisers today. You will see a smile on my face and you'll get to know very soon why. And then, second half of our show will also cover Gujarat Titans versus KKR. We got Sanjay back on the Waadaplaya concussion sub retired out series. Sanjay, initial reactions of RCB Sunrisers game. Did you expect the way it panned out eventually?
I mean, it was a terrible game of cricket, to be honest. It was a great pitch. I had been to one of the games at the Brabon, Lucknow versus CSK, and all the subsequent games, you had very high scoring games. And there wasn't anything in the pitch that looked like, you know, a team would get out for under 100. But yeah, it was a pretty one sided game, exactly what RCB did not wanted at this stage of the tournament. And exactly what all SRH fans would have wanted, because the heavy loss they suffered initially, that's all been covered now. They are well into the top two, and with a very healthy run rate of zero point 0.7 in positive. So yeah, poor game, but yeah, I mean SRH, great win for them. RCB should forget this ever happened and move on.
Okay, let's recap what had happened. Sunrisers had won the toss seven times in a row now, seven times in a row, and put RCB to bat. And in 16.1 overs, RCB 68 all out. And Sunrisers came out to bat and chased it down in 8 overs. And Abhishek Sharma was the culprit who lost the wicket. But Marco Jansen, that first over, a Faf Duplessis, then Virat Kohli, Golden Duck, and then an Anuj Rawat. How, how can a team recover with a three wickets down on over one? What could have been different for RCB, Sanjay?
I think one of the things which did not happen this time was, even in the previous games we've had failures from Kohli, Faf, sometimes, and even the even Anuj Rawat, but you've always had DK and someone else. For example, I think Glen Maxwell played very well on one of the games. Someone putting their hand up and having a partnership. All you need is two batsmen to bat for a period of 10 overs, and then you stop the rod. But in this case, unfortunately, someone or the other kept getting out, kept getting out. Even DK going out for a slightly unlucky, ball on the left hand side. But full credit to Marco Jansen. That just broke the back. Stats will show you, if you lose three or more wickets in the power play, you're pretty much done. But this was almost an embarrassing loss.
I mean, this is a dream bowling card for Sunrisers. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, 2.1 overs, 1 for 8. Marco Jansen, 4 overs, 3 for 25, which I believe will be the player of the match. T Natarajan, how good is he? First over wicket, Maxwell, 3 overs, 3 for 10. Suchith coming in, I think that has been added extra value for us, which is 2 for 12 in 3. And Umran Malik doing the job for 1 for 13. So this kind of a game, and what do you think RCB was the turning point outside of the three wickets? Could Glenn Maxwell would have shown more responsibility, or Hasaranga coming up? What could have been probably the game plan? DK unlucky, he couldn't have saved every game, but what else is the turning point for that RCB
I
batting
think
line?
apart from, I mean, if you look beyond that, I think Maxwell's wicket is pretty key, because he's the one you expect to at least get the runs, if not stabilize the ship for a period of time. But then DK's wicket is the turning point. I think we will have batters who can hang around in the RCB lineup, maybe 6, 7, 8. But DK was the one who's been getting a lot of runs, so that sort of exposed their middle to lower middle order. But every time they even had a semblance of a partnership, you had a wicket going down. So it's some of it is tough luck, because it's not a bad pitch at all. But you have to give credit to SRH. They cannot believe that this has happened to them at a crucial stage of the tournament, going from number 6 to number 2, and they look strong favorites to end up at least in top 4.
Utilize the conditions really well, and looks like even when we were looking at the live broadcast, commentators were saying, especially Virat Kohli wicket, looks like it was a setup. We will come to Virat Kohli. From RCB point of view, do you think Anuj Rawat now is the time for making a change at the top of the batting order, or should RCB think, hey, bad game like Faf Duplessis said on the post match, and move on, or any changes or knee-jerk reactions coming at the back of this
I
loss?
mean, if you ask me personally, Anuj Rawat has had enough games, so I think it's easier to carry a youngster when team is winning. But as soon as the team starts losing and two or three bad losses, and this is going to hurt them. You can't obviously do anything with Virat Kohli's bad form. He's their main man. But Anuj Rawat, I think there's a case for him to be dropped, replace him with Maipal Lomror maybe. Or to me personally, I think that they're not getting enough from Hasaranga as a batter. And if they're going to play him at number 9, maybe get an Indian spinner. To have a foreign wrist spinner is a luxury in IPL. You look at all the teams around, there's hardly a foreign spinner who will make it to the 11. So, and if he's not going to contribute with the bat, David Willey is a much better bet in my opinion. He can open the batting with the Faf if required, or number 3, or he can be used as a floater. That's what I would do. But hey, it's only one game. RCB is still in the top 4. They are well placed, and they should surely, you know, be a team who will end up at least in top 4. But this is probably going to dent their chances of making it to top 2.
It definitely will dent couple of things. Net run rate. They already gone into negative. They were positive net run rate before this game. And second aspect of it, I know we are being harsh to Virat Kohli every single game, but what the hell is happening? Like, what else can he do? The guy can't put anything right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the biggest Virat Kohli fans going around. So it's hard to point out. He's got out to Dushmant the Chamira, the first ball previous game, and now to I'm forgetting the name of
Jansen.
Jansen. I mean, it's a first ball dismissal. It can happen. It's a T20 game. You always try and put bat to balls. So that's why I do not get why commentators are over analyzing stuff. Oh, this is not test match. People are not going to leave their balls. But maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs a stroke of luck as well. Because give full credit to Kane Williamson. It's very rare to have two slips as well. And I think, if I'm not wrong, in this IPL, this is the first time we are seeing two catches in second slip. So have to give credit to Williamson. But I think Virat Kohli's form will come back. I'm super confident it will come back. Every time I say something like that, it goes horribly wrong. But I'm very confident his form will come back. It's just a matter of time.
And from ex-coach Ravi Shastri advice point of view, feel that he's cooked and should get a break. Your thoughts there?
Who? Kohli should get a
Yeah.
break. The only guy who needs a break is, I think, Rohit Sharma. Why would Kohli get a break at all? I mean, there are enough other holes in the team potentially to be filled, but look, they've won out of 8 games. They win another 5. They have a great chance of ending in top 2. Or even if they win 3, they are almost sure of getting a top 4 slot of the last 6. So they've got almost 60% win percentage. So I mean, Virat Kohli, all you need him is to fire maybe in the qualifiers or in the big games, and that'll be it. You got enough other players to contribute, and they've done well so far. So I think RCB fans and even the RCB, they should forget this game ever happened. You know, they are in a very good position to progress. So I think they should just forget it. And unfortunately, it's on the same day when they had that 49 all out. But that was a chase, and that's why it's a bit odd to have team batting first getting bowled out for 60 odd. So yeah.
Absolutely. And then Sunrisers coming out to bat, I was slightly anxious because we have a reputation of, messing up a really easy total. But this was below par, clearly below par. But how good was Abhishek Sharma and Kane Williamson? I would have probably thought Puran will come up, but SRH will probably must have thought that 2 points are important. Get done with it. But Abhishek Sharma innings.
Yeah, and this is, I think, a crucial point. That I think it was the 4th game where we all thought that maybe Abhishek Sharma should be dropped. So full credit to the management to giving him that extra game, and that was the game where he scored that 70 odd runs. I mean, this is a perfect game for SRH. They wouldn't have even dreamed of having such a game to boost their net run rate, because that was one area where they were potentially struggling. But now, 4 wins in a row, and they are flying high. In fact, 5 wins in a row, if I'm not wrong. Yeah,
5 wins in a row and number
5 wins
two
in
in
a
the
row. Yeah,
points table. And Adi
he
and
was
I were exchanging
unstoppable.
few WhatsApp pings when it was 68 all out. And Adi was like, let's get done with this with power play. And clearly he is disappointed that we pushed it to seventh over. But from SRH point of view, what do you think are the any gaping holes or any areas they need to worry about so far?
I, I think this win for SRH is flattering. I think they're not as good as this win would seem to be, and RCB is definitely not as bad as today's losses. So I think SRH would. I mean, the real test would be when they start batting first. I think that's one area, and I think on a good pitch, their bowling lineup will be tested. I think they haven't got a great wrist spinner potentially in their lineup. They got very good seamers, two left armers, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Everyone seems to be back in form, and I think the biggest plus is the form of Pooran and Aiden Markram, who every time they've got an opportunity, they've finished the game or closed the game. This time it was Abhishek Sharma who did more than enough to close it out in 7-8 overs.
You're spot on. I think the spin bowling department is one area which concerns me for Sunrisers Hyderabad. And like Adi mentioned, we have been putting the teams into bat and chasing. Setting the total is another area. But hey, as long as we are winning, everything looks fine. But we will take a look. RCB, like Fab Duplessis said, just forget about this game. Get on to the next game. Hopefully, next game is with Rajasthan Royals, if I'm not wrong, for RCB. Should be a fun game. And just touching upon Kohli before we go to the first match, Ravi is pretty persistently pointing out that mental wellness is one area of concern, and he gives an analogy of Stokes to Virat Kohli. Does he have a point here?
Well, it has to come from the player because I mean and I'm not an expert. You're not expert on mental, you know, illness or injury or whatever or mental health. Just because he's not doing well on the field, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's got a mental health problem or potentially he needs to take a break from the game. But I would have thought that relieving him from the captaincy of Indian team and giving up Test captaincy, I thought it would free him up. And with RCB doing so well, he would be flying on us. That's why I'm a bit surprised with his form. That game against Mumbai, he looked in terrific touch. So that game wasn't too far away. So I'm still hopeful in the next 6 to 7 games he's going to get a big one at some point in time. And RCB are I'm sure they'll qualify for the playoffs. So this loss is an aberration. It's going to dent their net run rate. So that top two spot looks unlikely at this point. But yeah, this is going to be very fluid. Top 8 teams, everyone's got still some chance to break into the top 4.
Okay. And Ajay is already giving some knee jerks. Get Lomror for Anuj and Vili for Hasaranga. We will see what happens. And there is consistent questioning coming up about Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, but I think that's for a different day. I don't think this is a good day and time. Plus, like we have always spoken, those two are class apart. There are questions coming up. But anyway, switching to the game two, Sanjay, or game one rather, which is Gujarat Titans, who are sitting really, really pretty on the top of the table, faced Kolkata Knight Riders earlier in the day. And from a recap point of view, Kolkata Knight Riders ended up losing the game with 8 runs. Kolkata Knight Riders, I think Gujarat Titans batted first, if my memory serves right. 156 for 9. Hardik Pandya played really well. And then Knight Riders fell short by 8 runs. What do you make out of Titans' journey so far and the game one earlier in the day, Sanjay?
So I think from firstly because there's a new franchise, new captain, new setup, everything, it's fantastic for them. I think they've already peaked at this point because they are getting out of um, situations which a lot of the teams wouldn't. So you have those Tevatia games, the Miller game. Um, and obviously Rashid Khan doing what he did. Today's game, obviously, this is the first time in this IPL that someone's won a toss and elected to bat first. A lot of the commentators and experts have been calling for that some teams should do that, especially in the day game. So, firstly, I think no one should have a day game at the DY Patil because just for people who don't know, so DY Patil is further away from the Mumbai, Brabant, and Wankhede, and the temperature difference is almost 8 to 9 degrees. So I'm not surprised that all the bowlers and even Hardik Pandya were, having a tough time running between the wickets, etc. So full credit to the players. But yeah, Gujarat did did fail to score as much as they should have. I thought 170, 180 would have been at par, but I think that last over from Andre Russell getting 4 wickets was a bit unfortunate from Gujarat's perspective. They should have easily got at least 15, 20 runs more. But full credit to them. They got early wickets. There's lots of chopping and changing KKR had done. They got Sam Billings to open with Sunil Narayan. Surprise, surprise. They dropped Aaron Finch. And then I think they kept on losing wickets. But because the total was small, you always knew that one cameo from a player could easily win them the game. And Andre Russell's 48 wasn't good enough in the end. So yeah, I think it's going to be extremely tough now for KKR. This should have been a game they should have easily won, and similarly the previous game they should have won. So I think it's looking very difficult for them now.
Couple of questions from a KKR point of view, and also Gujarat Titans. So there's a case of captaincy on both sides. Here, Hardik Pandya, who's never captained a franchisee team any before, is doing extremely well. And then you have other side Kolkata Knight Riders going all money, breaking the bank, getting Shreyas Iyer, who was experienced captain in Delhi Capitals. So is this a case of bad captaincy, KKR losing, or is it the auction strategy of Gujarat Titans, egg on our everybody faces, showing up the difference?
I won't say the auction strategy. I think the problem with KKR is clearly their two retention players. Venkatesh Iyer is clearly not giving them even 10% of what they would have imagined when they retained him, and Varun Chakravarti is not delivering at all. Add to that their opening combination, because, and this is the critical point, they haven't got a keeper, Indian keeper, who would walk into the 11. So every time they have a challenge of how to fit in, because Sheldon Jackson is not probably great with the bat. He's had a hot and cold IPL so far with the gloves, but yeah, they cannot bank on him enough. So that's the reason why every time they are in trouble, they try and get Sam Billings back. So I think those 3 points are extremely crucial. And then form of Umesh Yadav, the couple of games initially, he looked like $1 million buy for them effectively, but he hasn't done as well as he's doing with the bat, to be honest. So I think there are quite a few issues with that. Russell and Narayan are doing what they would, but there's lots of issues. Nitish Rana, again, another guy who's not performing at all. Whereas for Gujarat, people have been coming back into form and they've been winning. This is the sort of game which KKR lost, Gujarat would have won with someone like a Tewatia or someone. Previous game which they lost, Gujarat would have won. So it's almost that, little uh, critical stages of the game, who's going to put their hand up and get them over the finish line. They haven't played badly, I think, but yeah, I think again, KKR I don't think is as bad as their position on the table, and Gujarat isn't as good as their position on the table. But they could go all the way easily with the way they are playing.
You're right. 156 was a very gettable target with somebody like Dre Russ being there till the end. You should have gotten there, which also gives a strong message from Gujarat Titans bowling lineup point of view. Rashid Khan, in absence of Hardik Pandya here and there, has been captaining. So, couple of concerns on Gujarat Titans I see is probably their batting order. They need to get their batting order right because they're chopping and changing much. And also Abhinav Manohar. I personally feel they don't know what to do with his role. Uh, One day they send him up, now they send him way down. Do you think that's one area which Gujarat Titans need to buckle up?
Absolutely, and add to that Shubman Gill's form. He played well initially, a couple of games. Then he's sort of tapered off. Then opening combination, they've got Adiman Saha, who's not given them enough. But obviously, all the non-performing guys get covered up if the team is winning. That could be because they've not, the opposition hasn't played as well as they should have, which is the case in today's game. I think. I personally think, from an India perspective. India perspective, the form of Hardik Pandya, the bowler, and I've just got a theory that the reason why he elected to bat first was because he knew that he could not stay out of the field if he bowled first and then be able to bat in top three. So maybe that's the reason why he elected to bat, and his batting form has been excellent. But I think if he can bowl, then they can have more flexibility with their overseas player. They had two or four very good seamers today in in Mohammad Shami. Yash Dayal, very well. He's done very well for them. Alzari Joseph, Lockie Ferguson, Rashid Khan. So those five bowlers are on form. And the pitch wasn't the easiest as well. But I think Gujarat Titans, from from here on, it'll need something like a Punjab season where I think they won 6 out of 7 games in the initial half and then lost pretty much everything after that for them to not qualify for the top four. But yeah, I think Hardik Pandya is the main man, batting, bowling, captaincy, whatever. And if he's not there, that team looks completely different. And I agree, their batting lineup isn't the strongest on paper, but hey, they're winning.
Absolutely. And Mr. Dayal bowled pretty well today. It's far fetched. I think Modi is asking India jersey. I don't think so. But having said that, there's another interesting question which continues to retain is Dinesh Karthik, Hardik Pandya, Chahal, and Harshal Patel. I think all four have a great chance walking into the World Cup squad.
So Harshal Patel is definite, but I think this is Hardik Pandya probably. Uh, I think DK, I'm not 100% because we got too many wicket keeping options. Hardik Pandya, if he's bowling, he walks into that side. But if he's going to only bat top three in Gujarat Titans and not going to bowl at all with his fitness, I can't see him walking into the playing 11. Maybe he'll be part of the squad. But Chahal, he's the number one spinner. He should have played previous year's World Cup as well. I cannot see him being overlooked this time around. And I would also put my money on Kuldeep Yadav potentially getting a game again, because this is going to be in Australia, bigger grounds, um, less dew, and I think those two spinners could well be back into the mix because Varun Chakravarti's form is not great. Rahul Chahar is leaking too many runs. Punjab's position in the IPL isn't that great, and there's not many great spinners going around in the IPL beyond Chahal, Ashwin, and Kuldeep.
Absolutely. So next game, guess what? Gujarat Titans are going to face off with Sunrisers, and we'll get to the points table soon as to where those two teams stand. And RCB, like we spoke about, are going to connect with Rajasthan Royals. So that brings us to the points table after this Saturday. Tomorrow there's only one game. We will touch upon that game. Gujarat Titans sitting pretty, 7 games, 6 wins. Sunrisers 7 games, 5 wins. Rajasthan Royals 7 games, 5, but due to this uh, superior run rate, SRH jumped to second. RCB 8 games, 5 wins. Lucknow, DC, Lucknow are on 8 points. DC, KKR, PBKS are all on 6 points. Still looks like a log jam, Sanjay.
Yeah, especially the third and the fourth spot. I think that'll be very crucial. I think it's a bit unfortunate. DC should have won yesterday's game. I think that's the crucial game from their perspective. I mean, either they are just going to surprise them and surprise everyone and keep going ahead on a remarkable winning run potentially. But I think KKR and Punjab it looks like it'll be very difficult for them to go through. But I think still, I would say from DC up to everyone else, I think the top four should be from the top six teams here.
Absolutely. And also, word is that uh, Srikanth Deshmukh, the wicketkeeper, who was part of our panel many times, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday! Unfortunately, RCB couldn't give you the gift you were expecting, but hopefully you have a fantastic day and uh, year going forward. So tomorrow, I think your Lucknow Super Giants jersey will be back with the defending champions who are at the bottom of the table, Mumbai Indians, Sanjay.
Yeah, if ever anyone wanted to play Mumbai Indians, this is the time. So because everyone's beating them, so if you lose to them, it's gonna be have the double effect of you dropping points against them. So I think I'm just gonna still back Lucknow, but their Mumbai Indians has been one of the strangest seasons, or the strangest season we've seen. The biggest losing streak anyone has had in IPL history ever. So who knows? Someone might get a niggle. The captain might get a niggle. Maybe give another go to someone else, or Ishan Kishan might get a niggle. So I'm expecting a few niggles tomorrow, and 3 or 4 changes from Mumbai's perspective. I'm expecting Tim David to be back. I'm expecting lots and lots of changes, but because theoretically they've got no chance to qualify, because 16 is at least the number people are expecting for a top four finish. So I'm hoping Lucknow can get past them and still be in the top four race.
Do you foresee Arjun Ramesh Tendulkar getting a chance tomorrow?
If he's not going to get a game this season, then I don't see a point, because what's the point of him being retained or bought back by Mumbai Indians if he's only going to be a net bowler? Because they've got nothing to lose. They can literally try everyone in the squad, so that at least next year when Jofra is back, when you have the likes of Deval Brevis, probably a bit more international experience, Tilak Varma, everyone will be slightly better when next season comes up. So they don't want to have a situation where they end up losing 12 or 14. So at least some momentum, something for the fans is going to be extremely important, because ironically this is all being played in their own backyard. So it will be extremely disappointing for Mumbai Indians. So yeah, something for the fans, because they will definitely get support. Mumbai, RCB and CSK are the only teams who get the maximum support. Everyone else is just going to be there.
Absolutely. Okay, so pretty sober Saturday for the KKR and RCB fans, but that's how the tournament goes, right? You will have games which are really, really close. Some games will be one-sided, but happy campers, Sunrisers, and of course Gujarat Titans sitting pretty on the top. Sanjay, thanks very much for making time, and folks who have engaged, Ravi, Adi, Vishak, and Modi, thanks very much for the engagement, and drop that like button and tell your friends and family to subscribe to us. We'll continue to bring as much coverage as possible during this IPL. Until next time, see you later.
Thank you, guys.